Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I have been working on a British Animal Crossing themed island, and today I'm going to share with you how I built my very own British supermarket in the game. I really hope you enjoyed this speed build, and if you do, don't forget to like and also subscribe. But let's get into this. So like where I start with most of my builds, I decided to go in with some terraforming first of all. I want my supermarket to be up on the second level as we have this whole area here, and then at the front is kind of like Buckingham Palace and the entrance to the island. So over in the corner is where I kind of have the idea of doing this. Once I had done all of my terraforming, it took forever, I decided to then go in with my paths. For this section of the island, it's going to be the more city inspired area, the more London-esque inspired area, and because of this, what I am doing is I'm going in with the light dirt path, placing it down everywhere. So yes, it does take an eternity, and then I'm going in with my chosen kind of city style path. I really do like this path that it has kind of like a structured light pavement style to it, and then it has your cobblestone inspired kind of road. It's not necessarily wholly like London, but I do like the way that it feels quite elegant, and I do feel like there are a lot of cobblestone areas within the UK, so I think it kind of applies. After building all of those cliffs, placing down all of that path, I then realized, I don't think this area is actually going to be big enough. So back to adding more cliffs and more pathing. Yes, this did take a long time. It is times like this where I really am hopeful that Nintendo for the next Animal Crossing game will give us a way to easily place down paths, perhaps like we saw in Happy Home Paradise. My fingers and my toes are very much crossed for that. With all of that out of the way, it was finally time to start with the fun stuff and actually do some building. So for now, I'm going to start by kind of placing down the exterior of the shop. I want this to be a supermarket where you can kind of go inside and you can look at things and browse like you would in a normal supermarket. Obviously, there has to be checkouts as well. For building the actual building, so to speak, I decided to go in with these wooden bookshelves. When placing these, you kind of have to be smart about them, but I do kind of like the way that occasionally you do see the books kind of peeking through, and then if you look at it quickly, it kind of looks like it's a shelves that have been stacked, so it does kind of fit in with that whole supermarket feel. But for the majority of things, I have just gone and turned them around so that it looks like the walls. There are obviously a few different things you could do to get this kind of look. You could use like the climbing walls or like the standard like medieval building sides, things like that, but I kind of like the way that the bookshelves give it that modern kind of feel to it. I did use them quite a lot when I made a school, which was kind of fun as well, so definitely you can play around with these a lot. But as you can see, we now have this like lovely area which will then kind of be where we can decorate and do the inside. Obviously you have to make sure that they're lined up. As you can see, I kind of didn't at this point, but they do really work nicely, and because they're too wide, you can easily kind of make sure that everything is lined up properly. You just have to make sure that it's equal on both sides. So with that done, I was kind of thinking about how to focus on doing my entrance. I did kind of play around with a few different styles, and I will show you all of them, and then perhaps you can decide which one was the best and whether I actually went for the right one. Maybe I should have stuck with one of my original ideas, but this was my first idea, and I decided to add in some like cliffs behind to maybe add in some items. And then the logo here is for Tesco's, which is probably one of the biggest UK supermarkets that we have here. I would probably say Tesco's, Asda, and maybe Sainsbury's are probably the top three, and then we have like Aldi and Lidl, which are more European ones, which have made their way over here as well. But those are kind of your main big players. And because Tesco is kind of my favorite place, it's my favorite supermarket, I know this is really lame, but they are different, and I do feel like that's the place where I kind of feel most at home to do my shopping. So that's why I wanted to do this one. I'm not a huge fan of their like logo, but I just found this one on the shop and it was really easy to get hold of, and just having it on the simple panels. I will hide the bottom of the logo later, but as you can see, I thought it would be nice to have the logo at the front. Then I changed my mind and I decided maybe we could use the wide display stands to make it feel like the shop window kind of appearance. This is where I was playing around here, really trying to see if we could make it work. These do work quite nicely with the bookshelves because they're kind of like of that same kind of sleek, more modern kind of look to them. They're nice and clean, which does work really well. But things were just not working how I wanted them to go. So I really was playing around. As you can see here, I couldn't even get the bookshelves in the right place. So we had to make sure they were in line fully. The next idea that I had was customizing the wide display stands and just snugly fitting them in with the kind of bookshelves. And this was kind of working out. I liked the way that I was going with this, having like a proper entranceway here and using the side of the wooden bookshelf to try and make something happen. I tried adding in more wide display stands, but I think in reality, this was kind of making the area too kind of chunked up, like there was too much going on here. I did save some simple panel door designs. Why is that so hard to say? These I think are just great for shops. I think where I originally saw them was on a, oh my god, what's it called? 7-Eleven. I was going to say 24/7. That is not the name of the shop. But yeah, 7-Eleven kind of shop design. I think that's maybe where I first saw them. And I think that they do kind of work nicely for any old kind of supermarket build. As I was working, I also decided that maybe we want to make this feel like a bit more like a building, so it's not just white, which is why I decided to add in these short simple panels. The short simple panels are definitely something which I feel I don't use enough when playing this game, and I do think that they are a great tool to have if you want to make something kind of more broken up, so you don't just have a big kind of area looking at you. They are 100% worth it. I also added in the ABD machine because I thought most supermarkets here in the UK, I'm sure it's like that elsewhere as well, but they do have cash machines outside of them. So it felt more realistic having that. I really don't know why I was going in with all the little details here because I was trying to get the shopping baskets in, the shopping trolleys, but in reality, I don't think I really like this area at all. I did enjoy kind of putting in some little groceries, I guess, like bread and stuff in the windows, trying to entice people in, like, here is my nice loaf of bread, come into my shop kind of thing. But that part I wasn't mad about. The rest of it I think I was. So I did keep going. I did add in some more simple panels on the other side. I really was just playing around at this point, and I think it kind of shows with the things that I was doing. I added back in the short simple panels here. When I don't know what I'm doing with the build, I do just kind of go like back and forth and get distracted very easily. Well, I mean, I get distracted very easily anyway, but like, especially when I'm kind of struggling to kind of make things look right, I finally decided this was not working and decided that it was time to have another play around with this entranceway. I knew I wanted to keep the doors, and I thought what else could kind of add some color. So I found the upright lockers and I decided to add them in, and just to kind of give a pop of blue. As you can tell, the Tesco's kind of signage is very blue and red, so I really wanted to keep that in with the whole of this build. And it is kind of how the whole of the island is working, because obviously the national flag, the British flag, is red, white and yellow, so I really wanted to keep that colour theme going throughout this island. So Tesco's is also perfect for that, because Sainsbury's is like bright orange and Asda is bright green, so that would have definitely looked out of place, I think. So maybe it is a good thing that I am a Tesco's girl. So on the other side, I decided to try and find the other upright locker and put that in, and obviously we're going to go back in with this door and hopefully we can make it work here. I definitely think I prefer how open this kind of setup is, but the doors just seem to kind of hide the Tesco logo. I want you to be able to see when you walk in to the area that you can see the Tesco logo behind, so this is kind of helping it, I think. And then just to make the entrance a little fancy, as you can see, I added one fan palm and I decided to make it look like that on the other side as well. I don't really know if they have like fancy plants outside of the entrances of supermarkets. I don't remember the last time I saw one there, but my supermarket is going to be fancy, so it can have a plant outside. And then supermarkets obviously have all of like their trolleys and things outside, or shopping carts as you might call it in the US. This design, as you can see, it still wasn't really speaking to me. I don't know what it was, it just looked a bit kind of basic. So again, I decided to destroy everything and pick it up and just have like a little bit of a play around and see if we can make something work. So this did involve me like pushing a lot of things around. I think I did prefer it like more up close, just because otherwise the entrance is going really deep in. And then I had the idea of going all out Tesco branding, so I decided to put some of the cube lights on top of the upright lockers, which I actually think looks pretty cool. Just having like those little designs there are just really nice and just kind of make it like over the top. This is a Tesco shop, which I think is kind of fun. And then as you can see, I was really playing around with the simple panels, trying to get them right. And I think this was working out for how I wanted it, because as I said just now, I really want it to be like, wow, you walk through the store and then there's that Tesco sign there. So it was working out. The fan palm didn't want to go down, but it did work in the end. And then we can add the trolleys and move them around a bit. If you know me, I am a huge sucker for clutter, and that is kind of where I kind of really enjoy decorating. But I think for this one, having like clutter either sides and then making sure that you can get in and get around, but just adding small things like this shopping bag out front, I think that is where I'm going to get those details in, but still also make it feel like it is open. It was then time to kind of move inside and start decorating the interior. I tried to make these dessert kind of freezer things work. However, I don't know why. Maybe it's just the design that they are. There's just too small, and they weren't really hiding the sign as much as I wanted to. I tried the stool, that wasn't really working either. I just needed something that was going to hide the bottom of the Tesco kind of sign, and luckily this dessert case actually worked. So this one was perfect. And then obviously with the 2.0 update, we got loads of these storage shelves come in, and these are like perfect for a supermarket. I could not think of a better shelf. Just to add some like difference, I did use the two different kind of styles that they have. I think there might be more, but I thought it would be nice just to mix it up a little bit. These are going to be the kind of main shelves that I use for this whole area. I really think there is no other comparable thing, so it just has to be these. There are a few other kind of supermarket-y things. I was really trying my best to make these retro ice cream stands work, and as you can see, I did do a walk around check to see if they did work. Unfortunately, I think I was just kind of trying to fit too much in here, and maybe having two was kind of a little bit too much. But I do really like them. I think they're such a nice item. I also decided to try and add in the merchandise table as like an open kind of table area, but again, I just was worried about trying to clutter it overly too much, unfortunately. But then I did decide over this corner what I was going to do was add yet more shelves, and this is kind of where I want my checkout counters to be, and the conveyor belts for this were just perfect. So I added a checkout little counter here, and then added in a little till and the conveyor belt itself, just to kind of make it feel like an actual checkout area. And I think it doesn't look too bad. It definitely looks how I think like supermarkets do tend to look. We're not going to talk about where like your bags are or what happens at the end of it, but it kind of worked. For such a small space, it kind of works. And then here we go, just some more shelves. The kind of line I didn't really kind of mark it out properly because there is a little gap at the end, but I don't think it looks too bad. Obviously we need some items on the conveyor belt for the checkout, so some cake. Obviously everyone wants cake, and I thought maybe we could get another checkout in as well. You're not going to see this one all that much just because of the position of it, but I think having more than one checkout is better than just one. Especially imagine the lines, imagine the queues. I know most places now have self checkouts, which absolutely do my head in because most of the time I am always that one person where something doesn't register and you need to ask someone's help, or something weighs too much, or it doesn't. Yeah, it's just a nightmare. I would rather go to someone like to check it out for me, just because I feel like that always helps. As you can see, I'm just running around here. Something didn't look quite right and I couldn't decide what it was. I think it was just because there was so much floor, so I just decided to add the Tesco logo in the bottom here. But yeah, we're pretty much done now. I just added in some shopping baskets. Here is some like little snapshots of what it looked like in the end. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.